Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to Paulina's Universal Conversation with myself and Welsh. This conversation is how to use your diverse background, being living in multiple cities around the world, to truly form your identity and utilizing the knowledge you've gained along the way to helping and serving others. I guess it's just that. Paulina has a diverse educational background in economics, business, law, and psychology. By living, working, and studying in iconic cities like Moscow, London, New York, Shanghai, and Singapore, she's managed to build her own international network of ultra-high net worth individuals and private family offices. She has a good understanding of the global business flows and believes that the main driver of any good economy or business is its people. We'll be asking her what she means by that and how her knowledge along the way has helped her to form and connect with the ultra-high network individuals. Meet my amazing guest, Paulina, real estate agent, as she shares her story. Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to Paulina's Universal, a conversation with myself and Welsh. As I said in my introduction, this conversation is one that will truly inspire you. Are you a person who gives for that peace, meditation, believing in yourself that if hard work, you could achieve anything? Well, my guest today will explain you how she's achieved and overcome obstacles to get to the beautiful life she has today. Meet my amazing guest, Paulina, as she shares her wonderful story. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. Could be better. We're going through some struggles and my country is affected, but we're keeping strong. We're doing everything we can. We are lucky that I'm lucky that I'm here so I can support my family with what I have, with the knowledge I have, with the things I have, with the courage I have. With to share my experience as well. This means a lot to me. So there have been better days, but we're coping. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I think likewise to yourself. I'm not directly from the countries that have been affected, but I have so many wonderful friends from that country, and it pains me to see that my friends are struggling, or my friends' family are going through this amount of trauma and pain right now. And it gives me that sleepless night. That is this what this world is turning into? That we could 1 minute have it all and everything could be so perfectly fine, and all of a sudden there's something, things could just totally change. And I sympathize with so many people, and I try and help as much as I can wherever possible. I could help.
Thank you for your support too.
Yeah, no, thank you, Paulina, because I sympathize with you guys, and I really do hope that you guys come out of it. But anyway, now we're on that subject, and before we even get started, can you just tell us a little bit about who are you? Who is Paulina?
Yes, so I'm a visionary. I'm a big dreamer in big dreams. I am a woman with her own dreams, desires, and goals, who is, I think, working hard for it and doing her best. I am a dreamer, and I am a woman who hopes to contribute to the world development. I've always wanted this, and with today's event, I feel this even more. What could I do now? What could I do in the future? I'm just hoping to be here to shape the world for the good.
Yes, absolutely. I love what you said, that I'm hoping to change the world and develop the world. And with current events, it's now more than ever that everybody need to come together and utilize and see what skill set everyone could bring to help
Exactly.
others who might be going through difficult challenges.
100%, 100%. Yes, and be that, like each of us, we have different professions, and, understanding who you are in this situation, what can you do from the point where you are, that's important. So that's what I'm working on now.
When you were a child growing up, what was your background like? Where did you grow up? And tell me a little bit about your history.
So I grew up in Moscow. I was there until 15 years old. Was in Moscow, was in school. I shared with in another interview my story, where it all began as my it shaped a lot my behavior and my understanding of who I am and how do I achieve things. I think that's where it's all started. And then I moved to the UK actually at the age of 15 on my own, with an enormous support from my parents. It was their choice, to and I'm very grateful for it once again, to support me in my education here. And then I just stayed. It was a journey of a couple of directions, jobs, pushing it, working towards it, experimenting. And then here we go. Here where I am.
You've worked in some of the most iconic places in the world. You've worked in cities like Moscow, London, New York, Shanghai, and Singapore. And I'm like, these are one of my must go to. I mean, must. When anyone asks me where do you want to, where is a place do you recommend for people to go, I always call these countries, and unfortunately not with what's going on in Moscow right now, but in terms
Yeah,
of,
these are the hotspots. I agree.
yeah, these are really really cool places to be. Could you just tell me what your journey was like living in between these places?
Yes, well, so I mean, Moscow, that's where I'm from. I only with time realized how lucky it is, how lucky I am to be from a megapolis at the first place. Moscow has always been, and I hope will stay, a vibrant, big megapolis with lots of bright young people, with a lot of interesting businesses, projects, places. It's beautiful on its own and in itself as a city, with a lot of greeneries, and it's big, it's full of opportunities. That's actually still the Moscow that I remember. I moved out in 2013, so right before all the events started, and I know and I feel how it was. And I think it's Moscow being very attractive and complicated on its own self for many people who are coming from smaller city. For me was already something that I felt like, oh, that's easy, that's kind of, I already achieved it, I can always come back.
Yeah.
So I think this coming from a megapolis already gives you a drive, desire, understanding of who people in the big city are and who you are among them. So that was the start. Then when I moved to the UK when I was 15, it was not London at first. That was a little disaster for me, because I was studying in a boarding school, so I went for all the, pure British, like school challenges. For me as a Russian girl, and there were some, language is one of them. I thought I didn't know English. You never know unless you come here. But then I pushed it, I made it happen. So I moved to London for job actually. So I went to have my first job before university. So I pushed it in London. Here I remember these first days, first months when I'm going through the city, and it is so different from Moscow. It's so international. It feels like everyone is here. Everything is possible. I was walking, looking at all these buildings, at all these streets, just like a dream comes true. I'm very grateful, but for these opportunities. I was finding ways, with by myself or from my jobs to travel a lot and see other people, other cultures, other nationalities, other countries. How it is over there. China is one of these experiences. Asia, I would say. So I was there with. So I did a course there in economics and finance. It was like it could have been a part of my university project, program. But then I stayed there to explore some business opportunities that were already connected to what I was doing in London, and that gave me an opportunity, to stay and have a feeling of how it is to be in Shanghai. We traveled back to Beijing as well, and Macau, Hong Kong. Completely different world. People there for me were like from another planet. I mean, language again was a big barrier, but everything is different. I wouldn't say I felt most comfortable there, but it was interesting. I think it made me think and see a lot of things. New York is one of these examples as well. I had a chance to stay there for 4 months, explore the city. I remember myself walking, by foot around the whole Manhattan, try to feel, understand, connect. These are people who are making decisions at the end of the day. It's so important to, get a feeling and learn about people, because then you'll get more on the reasons why these people are moving where they're moving, why they're making these decisions. So all of this, it helped me enormously at the end when I came back to London. And I think that's where my heart belongs today. When I came here and my job, it requires connecting, communicating a lot with people of all nationalities. This helped enormously. So I'm grateful for this experience and I'm hoping for more.
Oh, that's wonderful. I mean, you just did that through a roadmap of sort of like going to different countries and experiencing different culture. What are one of the things that you take away for someone who's going into multiple countries to go do some work? What kind of advice would you give that person?
So I've always, again, I have a feeling I'm lucky I was raised with this feeling. I was born in love. I'm grateful for my parents and they raised me in love. And then I think reflected this in the world as well. So I've always felt like the world is taking care of me and I'm taking care of the world. So somehow I felt very safe and open everywhere. I'm the person I could be easily finding myself completely alone in the middle of nowhere with the people that I have no idea about. And, whoever else would say, you're crazy, run away, this is dangerous. It could have been completely different. But at the end, these were the main adventures. So what I would recommend, trust your heart, always. Understand the people, their language, their language of their culture, language of their emotion. Learn, just feel. There might be a lot of secrets on the way. I get the most inspired when I travel because I see something different and it gives answers, or it helps asking the right questions at least. So I recommend just follow your intuition, follow your heart. And
Absolutely.
be cautious, still be cautious.
Absolutely, I totally agree because I mean, and be kind, be nice. Don't try and
Yes,
fight the system with them. Try and understand what they're trying to say in their multiple ways of communicating with you.
exactly.
Yeah, try. And one thing I found very fascinating about you, you have found the confidence, right, to start building your own international network of ultra high network individuals and private family offices. When you came back to London, how did you do that? Because this is such a fascinating area to be in and such a niche area as well, because these people are very clouded in one area. How did you manage to start navigating your way in those markets?
Yes, thank you for the question. Well, as I said, this is actually, I figured it while I was preparing for a completely different interview. And I figured that I think I've got a really good feeling at some point of my life that there was something important happening to me in my primary school in Moscow that I have a feeling shaped my relationship with people, with the world. It helped me understand how do I manage in all the situations. So in short, I'm in school, I'm young, I'm just entering sixth grade. We had a very school, like in all this Americans movie where there's a one group of kids between all the grades. They're cool, everyone wants to be friends with them. They play in theater together, they go out together, they're like good in school, they're good in everything. And everyone wants to be part of it, but no one can unless you invite it.
Yeah.
So when I entered when I entered the age when I could have been part of the group, I looked at all of that, like while I was in my corner, and I was good, but like I just thought I want a little bit more. Like I just want to be I want to be friends with these kids. How do I do that? So, and what I did, my parents, my father gifted me professional camera on my birthday, and I started. I was watching them, and I thought, like, what do they like, who they are, like, would I be friends with them? And if I would, what can I do there? Who am I there? And by asking all these questions, I came up with an idea. So I started bringing my camera to school, and I was reaching out to them, where like whoever out of them and wherever, and I was asking if I could do a photograph. And if they don't mind, it was just the age when Facebook came to Russia. So we all start, and there's a Russian version of Facebook, so it was in the same time. And I was asking if I could take a picture and then write like a short article about them, just what they wear, who they are, etc. And I started doing this, and it started creating like so much of attention towards me, because they all started reaching out to me, like, can we do this again? Can we take more pictures? Come over, this and that. It started like exploding within the group, but also outside the group. And I remember the day when it kind of naturally, I started hanging out with them so much, because I was doing, this like creative thing that I enjoyed myself, and they liked so much because no one ever done this before, that I remember well, at some point, it just naturally turned into friendship, which I never paid attention to. But then years after, I realized that I'm kind of using the same approach to when I understand people I want to be, or a group I want to be part of, or I need to speak to. I started using this a lot in business, and I realized that maybe it's coming from there. And this principle in life is very easy, actually, and it helped me so much. It accelerated me so much, and it's mainly about understanding clearly who are these people in front of you that you want to be, a group of people that you want to be a part of, maybe a specific person, understanding part of the society, understanding what these people might be interested in, what do they need, how can I contribute something into the environment, so this would be valued, so this would be so the attention would be attracted. And this can be different things, we all do different businesses, we all can just give something very simple and nice, just like that. It's not about, we're not talking about any like financial contributions, we're not talking about being too much into the person, overdoing it. It's just something light, simple, so that you can create this connection with the person. It is about creating the connection. And again, owing to my travels, and I've been everywhere, from sitting with people on the streets and finding out why they're there, to speaking to the kings. And I felt comfortable all along, because I just, I stayed myself. I felt good and comfortable, and I could understand the person, who is feeling vulnerable and not having enough today, as much as I could understand the person, with all the background, with all the, society advantages, who is on a completely different level. And I think combining the two, understanding the lives and truly feeling yourself part of these lives and societies, and understanding on how to build this immediate connection, this is something that opened a lot of doors to me on the way. And I'm grateful that I learned this. I'm grateful that it just helped. It brought me to the point where I started meeting incredible people, and actually started staying in touch with them. So grateful for this.
This is fantastic. Law of attraction. It's really the law of attraction.
Law of attraction, indeed.
Finding what that person wants. It could be just giving them something. Even this, I like what you said, even the vulnerable person wants something. And it's finding that need and filling in the gap, and not even realizing you're doing anything. You're doing it, but not realizing you're doing this out of pure joy, out of pure, okay, this thing is something I want, but no, this group might be closed off, but there's ways around that. And it's just phenomenal.
Exactly. Another very important point, and as a recommendation, it's very important. Reputation in this kind of societies, it's everything. It's very important who is introducing you, and it's important every single person on your way is as important as the last person, as the group where you need to be, you know.
Yes.
Every time I do whatever I'm doing, I'm thinking whoever this person would have been. It might be, you know, a personal assistant, it might be a secretary, you know, in the office. You never know who is going to be that person speaking out your name in front of the very important person to you. You never know. You know, it can be, you know, someone who is just having the lowest position in the company, but for some reason, this person is valued by someone who is important to you.
Yeah.
So being, you know, open and respecting every single person and giving this and building this communication on the way as well with all of the people around you. That's the key. That's
humble, being humble along the way, not letting your ego, you know, you see these movies, you see people look down on people, not letting their ego get in the way, not realizing that sometimes that could be that very person that you receptionist is the very person who has the most influence in the office. And that's your journey. So I love the way you said that, because that
exactly
is what we all take for granted. So
exactly.
no, Paulina, thank you for highlighting that to people, because that is something a lot of people take for granted, and they're not realizing that being kind, being humble, not letting your ego be in your way, because you're meeting the boss and you forget the boss and the individuals along the way that you have to meet along the way, but not realizing
Exactly.
this might be a test in your way. So no, thank you. This is amazing. You also you're a real estate you're a real estate agent. We know you did this beautiful thing on, I think it was on Channel 4. But before we even talk about that, you have amazing skills and qualities. You can sell almost about anything in terms of real estate. It's like you learned that you're passionate about it. How did you get into this sector?
Thank you for the question. That's also an interesting one, as I've learned in life that all the things that happen to you, they happen for a reason. We might not be able to understand and see this through today, right here, but then when you are at the point somewhere in the future and you look back, you see how all these, you know, pieces of a puzzle are now, you now see this beautiful picture of all the things being connected. It's the same with experiences. We learn some things that might seem, or we meet some people that might seem not important today, or it's out of my way. But then if you don't ignore them and you just, you know, embrace everything that comes your way, in 100% with me, and I know it's the case for a lot of people, if it hasn't happened to some, just give it some time. It will. And then, you know, when I reach the point where I wanted to be, I look back and understand that, oh wow, so everything that I've been doing on the way and I thought is a waste of time is actually, I wouldn't be able to get there without this. So that's partially how it happened with my real estate path journey as well. Property is a big industry in the UK. It's the leading industry. It's shaping the economy here, as in many other countries worldwide. So we're working a lot. But for me, it all started actually. So when I started building my life here, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't as perfect and as straightforward as it might seem for many. It was challenging, it was complicated. I had to go back and forward many times. I had to, you know, push, and there were days when I was frustrated, disappointed, and I wanted to just leave it all behind and live somewhere on an island. But don't give up too late. So I had to move a lot. I was always moving around because I couldn't, you know, things were changing, you know, it's expensive, it's challenging in London. I couldn't find my place, probably in my heart too, but physically I couldn't find my home as well. I know for sure that, you know, once you left your home once, you know, it's just a matter of like how long you can stay in one place, because you will be moving all the time. That's the case for all the people I know who moved once or twice. So that was the case for me too. I had to move a lot, literally from apartment to apartment. So at some point I found myself at the position that I'm constantly on property websites looking for properties. After that, I was going to a lot to viewings. I started meeting the agents. I started understanding how it looks on the pictures, how it looks in real life. I started, you know, checking all the details, because I was visiting like, you know, hundreds of properties to find something for myself. And then I started, and I was enjoying it, like I again realized it when I already got invited to the position where I am now. I then thought, how funny is that? How ridiculous is that? That I was on these websites all the time on the other side. And now, and I was feeling so deeply what is being missed in the service, what is being missed in the information and in the message that's been translated. And I thought, how interesting is that I'm now on the other side. So I can really embrace these challenges, and contribute something, invest something back. I thought without the first one, I would be so lost today. And how is it interesting that I'm actually doing something that I was enjoying so much from the time when the times were complicated. So something like that. That's the story from inside, but from the outside, was again a long journey of experiences. I was floating from and like growing my experience from one structure to another structure that at some point quite logically and naturally lead me to Sotheby's as a brand. It all started in the auction house, and from there I was recommended to and invited to the position here. Back then they didn't have any Russian speaking clients, so I was in an interview with the director and I was like, maybe a Russian desk. Let's do something. Let's explore the market. Let's send another message back to our offices there. Let's let the world know that we're here for Russian speaking people globally. Wow. And that's what we did.
Congratulations, you really did it, and you've done so well with this. As a woman, do you find it challenging in this world, in the real estate world?
Yes, sometimes. I sometimes even I feel that I sometimes forget what kind of industry it is.
Yeah.
I use completely different methods. I connect. I want people feel great in front of me. I'm a big believer in partnerships, in cooperation, in respect. Many say it's a very feminine approach to life, but I'm really hoping that one day we all will be there as human beings, not just divided by gender or nationalities or God knows what else. But many people who are really on top of this industry, they came there by using completely different tools, completely different, and they keep using this. It's sometimes aggression, it's some under the table games, this is pressure, there's some lies, there's something that it is about, like, to break you psychologically in order to get where they need to get. This happens. I still respect these people because they got where they were going, and the world is changing. I see these approaches as quite old school, and I think this world is going behind slowly. I think the new generations have learned so much, felt so much, and I feel more people with whom I can do it the way my heart feels, as I described, rather than, but sometimes from time to time, I would say maybe there were a couple of situations in my career in my career here in Sotheby's that were when I was like, wow, okay, I completely forget that it can be that aggressive. And it does come from men, that's for sure. It does come from men. Without any offense though, I've never really felt any discrimination in my life. And moreover, this behavior towards me showed me that they see me as equal. That's really so they tell me, step aside, but as a person, who is in front of them on the negotiation table. But usually I try to do it the other way. I try to connect and find, how we could all get our pieces of the pie. But some people are still not interested in this. But we're getting there. It never really interrupted any of my projects that I was working on so far.
Paulina, as someone who's thinking of going into this sector, how do you manage both because there's a lot of out of office work and there's in office work. You have to come back in and do the summary, do the event. So how do you manage both tasks? So to start with, it is a very, very challenging job, very challenging. So you do much more than you at the end can
be successful in. It's not one project that you need to lead and do specific things that will guarantee you that you will get there and it will be successful. But there are so many small details that must be it must be thought through in order to get at least somewhere, in order to get started. So it is indeed, I work, you work on your phone when you're out, you're all the time on the phone. When you're in the office, you're all the time on your laptop. And it can, like sometimes I don't get anything until 1 p.m. And then, from 7 p.m. onwards, when people stop working and they have time to talk about private homes, for example, they come back, and then when we start working with them later, especially, this on this level of the market, it happens more often. So it is a demanding job. It is about it's not a job for introverts. It is not. It is a job for both. It is a job for people who can go out, be on the stage, speak out, be confident, but also it's a job for the people who understand people, the people who understand the type of client, who are really good psychologists, who can really, kind of coordinate their own emotions. These are people who can, coordinate their ego for the good of the project, for the good of the company, for the good of the deal, as we say. So it's really a lot all at once. And that's why I have a lot of respect for people who really made it in the industry, because it was hard. It is hard. So, I primarily, if you manage to stay, who you are and a good person in the way, that's just bravo.
No, absolutely. It is difficult because you're constantly running around, you're constantly on your phone, you're constantly checking, you're constantly looking. There is just all these added things, and a lot of people who see success like yourself being so successful, not realizing the amount of work you put into it. So I'm so glad you touched on that subject for the young ones who are coming up thinking of going into real estate. To understand there's a lot of work. Now, don't just look at social media and think it just can be done overnight. It's something that you have to take your time. You have to build your clientele. You have to build your knowledge about how to show a house. You have to build your knowledge about putting your data together as well. Just so all this adds up, and it's just one thing after the other, which never stops. But another thing you talk so strongly, you believe so strongly about, you said the main driver of any economy of company is its people, that the people make the company. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Why you strongly believe?
Yes, absolutely. I've actually came up with this phrase for the first time in one of my university assignments. I was doing economics and like business finance in school and university. I came up with this in school, actually. I remember this work. Is the case 100% for the economy and also for the world. I'm a big believer in that. I saw, and I keep seeing this every day, it's all a matter of like, there's so many people on the way that are truly making decisions, like small decisions that, if we're talking about the company, but I would also, especially in today's world, I would like to highlight that it's also the case, in the country's economies too, in global economies as well. These are the people, and, this power has always been taken out from the people, of the people, because those in power, they don't want to know how much power we have, how much power their people have. It says about, people influencing, we are, especially in the company, we are told where to go. And in many companies and countries, people are, those who are not really been taken care of. And this is the key, in the company, if your people feel good, they will do something more creative. They will do something additional. They will find ways, how to get there, how to make it all work. If people are unhappy, whatever tools, whatever, rules, whatever policies are being implemented, they might not work. And those above, like as head of the company, they might not even understand why. That's why, I think it's already happening in a lot of companies, especially it's coming, it's growing here, but it's very famous in the States. It's less developed maybe in Europe. It's even less developed in Eastern Europe. But I think we're slowly going there. People are becoming more conscious, more self-aware. People, if people in bad mood, they can't push, they can't pull, they can't do anything, they can't provide the service they could have been providing otherwise. It's the case for me as well. At some point, I wasn't taking care of myself while I was, rushing, running, and just pushing it all until I just, don't know who am I myself. I changed this behavior. I pay a lot of attention to how I feel. What do I do to keep this feeling up? What do I do to keep myself balanced? What kind of message I'm, spreading in the world? If I feel different, or if I feel like I don't have anything good to give you today, maybe I should stay home. Maybe I should, move the meetings. Maybe I should find other approaches. So it is, I think we all, we devalue, the importance and our responsibility on how much we influence the environment we're in. And this, again, it can be companies, but it's also countries. We've been told that what we feel and what we say sometimes is not important that much. There are people out there to make these decisions for us. But it's not really like that. Maybe, someone, who is in management, who is in C-level in the company, they are making the decisions. But the company will never be what the company wants to be unless people are translating the message in the right way. And for people to translate the message in the right way, they need to feel themselves in a specific way. Yeah. So that's what I know is for sure like this. And I would love to do everything that's in my power throughout my life to to exercise this, to contribute to this development worldwide.
What are some of the lessons you got from the British most expensive houses on Channel 4 when you went on this program? What are some of the lessons you learned from it?
So that's interesting. In general, it was an extraordinary experience. I loved to be part of the team. I loved how we all came up together. Came across on TV as well. I love Channel 4 and Model Media teams. I really enjoyed the whole environment when you have a chance to speak out, to say, express, and share. I saw this from like day 2 probably. From day 2, I saw this as a platform and potential to express values as well, to send the message. I have a feeling that's my purpose to some extent in life. So it wasn't that much about it, but I did it where I could, and I got the feedback that it worked somewhere. One of the main things that I learned about it, there was the lesson. That's about the power of media, the not confusion, but the belief, I would say, the belief of people who are opposite you in front of their TVs and you are inside, their belief in how real it is, and their pure, their only reflection on it as in the way they have been told. Yeah. So I learned truly how powerful this tool can be if it's used right. And obviously, with everything that's been ongoing in the world, it's also about the same, that how many times and how often it's used not for the good, how often it's used not, for the right, and how complicated it is when you look at the screen, when you see these people and you just believe in what you see. That's what I learned. So I did my best. I was thinking a lot. What am I saying? How am I saying? And what kind of message I'm sending? So I've learned about the power of media.
And it's true. The power of media, even with every event that's going on in the world, the media has this power of telling people the story that would either make us shake, make us, or break us. It is so powerful. And it's how I love that you said you learned the power of the media and you learned how to utilize it in a way that you could convey yourself in a positive light. So people don't see you on the other side and think, oh my God, what a person is this, kind of person is this, that human being, why is she acting this way? So it's so good. We talked about meditation and positive affirmation. And you say this helps you in your personal life? Before we get to our final question, can you tell me, how does this help you in everything you do?
So I've actually learned about this owing to some specific period in my life, to some specific person who introduced me to this, and I'm very grateful for it. It was something very new for me, and it changed my life. Exactly how? This is science. This has been like people have studied this, and they proved it's a fact that and I feel I'm a very spiritual person, so I feel it on energetic levels, but I not but I know the scientific reasons for this too, but I don't have the education and qualification to talk about it now, so I'll just talk about my feelings. And my feelings is we are always very rushed in the everyday world. That's where we're going. Everything has been so accelerated with how we exchange information, with how we do businesses, with how we talk. We're very fast. It's very hard to recognize consciously what you feel and who you are in this endless journey of everything that's happening every day. Meditation is something that allows you to pause it all, even for 5 minutes. You might not believe this, but I'm telling you, it's enough. Many people don't start meditate because they think it's like going to the gym. It wouldn't make sense if you do it only once. I don't have time to meditate every morning, and I don't have time to do it every evening either. I meditate where I can and when I feel needed. It can be in the middle, when I just get a feeling about it. I don't have to sit in the Buddha pose and have the music and all the smells around me. I do it wherever, whenever, and I do it for as long as I can. I sometimes do it every week, but I also sometimes do it just once per month. And this changes everything. I've achieved so much in such a short period of time when I just meditated for 20 minutes. You're going somewhere deep inside, and all the things that are happening, they start to be less, everything feels less sacrificing, less important in a good way. We tend to get vulnerable and stressed and obsessed about things that seem important to us. But when you step aside, and that's what meditation gives you. Meditation brings you to the point of observer. You're not there, negotiating and shouting in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
You are watching this all, and you see precisely, who is saying what, who is dressed in what, who wants what. It gives you the power of being an observer. And from this state, the best decisions are made. That's a fact. Because when you calm, you're not too accelerated. You can observe and then act. Observe and act. That's what meditation gives to me. Affirmations, this is something else, as important. Would you like me to talk about it as well?
Yes, why not? Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so affirmations is everything. I've been doing it. My journey in this started when I was 11 years old. I watched the movie The Secret.
Oh.
I highly recommend it. Just Google it. It's a very like Hollywood type documentary. Ignore if you don't like, who is there or how it's filmed. Everything. They're just introducing to the technique, which is magnificent. It's a miracle. It's amazing, and it works 100%. So affirmations is a specific type of putting together, phrasing your desires and putting them on paper and repeating it if you want. I think a lot of people devalue the importance of understanding and phrasing your desires in a correct way. We want something that is so far, we want something that we can't describe, we want happiness, but we can't, so many people can't really explain what they mean by happiness. They read it somewhere, I heard about it somewhere, but what is exactly happiness for you? So many people don't know. And moreover, phrasing your desires and understanding them, it's a way of sending your energy precisely, so it hits the target, precisely where it should be without any, misunderstandings. And I will give it I could give it an example. You might say, I want an apartment, and the universe might put it all together that I hopefully not, but something bad happens to someone in your family and you get the apartment because something bad happens, it's always, the butterfly effect in the movie. But if you phrase it, like, I want a new apartment to come my way, in the best possible way for me, owing to my job or to my skills or to this and that, this gives the desire a very different shape. Although it's still limited to what I said at the end because of your job, it might come, your desire might happen in a completely different form and way that you thought it could. I always say, don't devalue the universe, okay? It has its own plans, and it hears you, it remembers you. Be respectful, give it some time, and please phrase and list your desires in a good order so your order can be precise.
Paulina, that's amazing. My final question before I have to let you go is, what would you advise your younger self today?
My younger self?
Yes.
Good question, actually. I would really well, for me, everything that I've learned, and I can't wait to share this with my kids. I'm really looking forward to this. I see this as my role in this world as well, to pass, I felt how amazing it would be if the person would already be growing with this kind of knowledge, and I'm sure there is much more ahead of me. But I was missing this when I was younger. I wish I would knew some things that I'm so confident in today when I was younger, because as for all of us, it was stressful. It was, it seemed unfair. It seemed like there's nowhere to go. And I would love to wish to myself just to, when I was younger, I have this feeling today, but when I was younger, I didn't have it, to keep, to don't stress too much, to be more confident in yourself, to value yourself more, to be sure that whoever you want to be, and wherever you want to be, you will be there if it's your person and if it's your place. And if both can, if you can recognize both, if this can recognize you back, this will just happen. And the rest, do you really need it? I don't know, maybe not. And I would just wish myself to, I think I enjoyed a lot in my life on the way. I would probably also wish to be more, to target maybe more specific things when I was younger, to think more about people who are around. I've learned it quite quickly on the way, but I did make my mistakes. Okay. So I wish myself to live like I just described, but when I was younger. But that's the point, that was the journey. Otherwise, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Well, absolutely. Paulina, I'm absolutely delighted to spend this time with you, and I wish you all the best with everything you're doing, and also with the countries you've mentioned. We really hope that everything resolves itself, and
thank you so much.
It gets better from here.
Thank you so much. I loved our conversation. Thank you for what you're doing. That's beautiful. Creating a platform for women, for people, to speak out, to share, so we can all, grow together. That's beautiful. I am following you, and I'm looking for further stories, and I'm hoping to see you one day.